Okay, Nico Meisner, it's a pleasure to have you here on the school, and I would like to thank you for coming here and for this small talk. So my first question would be how you see the internet and the whole digital film environment in terms of marketing and in terms of distribution of films.
Well, thanks. First of all, thanks for inviting me. It's a nice city, nice campus, nice town, nice people. So yeah, thanks for having me here. For the question, I tend to see it. I think it's quite a daunting, if you want, opportunity with having the internet around, because so many things seem to change. I tend to see it rather as a chance than as a problem that it creates, because you can look at the internet and then you think there is piracy and will we ever sell a movie again because people download stuff for free. But I've seen so many examples of really independent filmmakers who did not get commissioned by a television station or by a production company or a distributor. They made their films with the help from, I don't know, friends, cheap technology, people like audiences really online, and then they also build audiences, sometimes only a couple of hundred, sometimes millions. Like there are films that build audience of tens of millions of people. And some of them, I think that's only starting now, but some of them even earn some money, build their own career. But like for me, the exciting thing is especially in terms of audience building, like the people that you can reach through the internet worldwide, and how cheap and how easy it really is. And even though I used it in class yesterday, that word a lot, even though the traditional gatekeepers may tell you, no, your film won't get on this TV station, you still have a TV station for your own, and if you know how to use it, and sometimes I don't think it's too hard to use it, but yeah, there are opportunities for you, and I tend to see it, or I want to believe that it's rather an opportunity than a problem.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point of view. For example, I think it's interesting if you look at the music videos environment and how they use the internet. So it started as a big threat because of the piracy, and all that. And now what we can see is that the way the music videos are watched completely shift from the television to the web, and that opened a lot of opportunities to a lot of new bands to show up, to show themselves to audiences, and that created new audiences and created a lot of new possibilities. So in a way, you think that can be also adapted onto film?
Yeah, I do think that music usually leads the way, and we see that iTunes sort of like revolutionized the way how music, how we listen to music, how we purchase music. Now nobody purchases CDs anymore or whole albums. Everybody downloads on iTunes. But iTunes also shows us that people do pay for digital content, and it's not just iTunes. There are other platforms as well. So there were some people try to build something similar for film, and it didn't work yet. But I think it's just a question of time until those kind of things work. I think film has the problem of regional rights that music doesn't have, and I think that creates a big problem. And if we may get rid of those kind of things, if a film would be available like for the whole world, then there wouldn't be a problem anymore to just upload it to the internet. And I think in a way, independent films, that's the stuff I care more about than Hollywood films or like real commercial films. But I think independent films have the chance to decide those terms for themselves if independent filmmakers really want to go down this route.
Okay. What do you think about existing platforms like Mubi, or you think they are on the right path, or?
I think they are on the right path. I don't think they quite work yet, and that is sometimes audiences have to be educated as well, and there are not enough films on Mubi, for example. Who knows about Mubi? The great thing about iTunes is that sort of everybody knows about it, and so that is this sort of one-stop shop that iTunes is for music. It does not exist yet for film. But nonetheless, I think that is only one opportunity for film that everybody knows. I can go to the iTunes of film if I want to watch a film. I mean, there are other things. Snack films, for example, exist for documentaries, and you can watch them for free, and the filmmaker would earn very little money through advertising that runs throughout the film. So yeah, some platforms exist for films, but I think to have this whole this one platform that sort of like combines everything, that didn't happen yet, but that may happen in the future with, like, I don't know, maybe search engines that search different platforms into one. But I also think that we may not need to depend on those platforms as like, that's my belief as like independent filmmakers. Those platforms are good, but then we are still only like a small fish in a big pond, you know, this what they always say in those platforms. The most important thing is really to use the internet to access audiences and people who talk about films, or people who talk about the themes in our film, and then tell them, hey, our film is out there, so they can help us reach an audience. The typical thing, what you did in an offline world, really like trying to get journalists to talk about your film. But I think there are much more journalists out there right now, and some people don't even call themselves journalists. They are bloggers, or they use Twitter and have like a couple of hundred followers. But yeah, I think those kind of people are out there, and getting those people to talk about your film and presenting your film to an audience does not depend on those platforms in general, though the platforms, I think, help.
Yeah. The thing with platforms is, well, being the internet so big, how to get attention, how to bring attention to your own films, or especially if you are independent, it's harder to make it known to people. So you think the strategy is to look for bloggers and people that talk about things on a, like, almost creating niches of interesting interests. That's the right route.
Well,
one possible route. Yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, in a way, those platforms are like the internet, or like YouTube is a platform.
Yeah.
You don't earn money with it yet, but there are like 48 hours of video material uploaded to YouTube every minute. So you swim like in a big sea. Nobody will ever see you if you just upload it. So that's why I think marketing, really advertising your film, and is much more important than uploading it somewhere. It should be somewhere, but advertising it is the more important thing. And then in terms of the niche audience, I think that is really the audience that we should go for, because we are like independent filmmakers. In a way, we make niche films, and I talked about that in class yesterday. But there are films out there about, I don't know, climate change and stuff, and there are bloggers who blog about environmentally friendly behavior, but there are also like big organizations like Greenpeace, but also on a local level that care about those kind of themes. So if you tell them, hey, I made a film, they would tell their audience about those kind of films, and that does not just exist for climate change, but also for, I don't know, sports, music, the arts, even like, I don't know, I always use Sweden as an example, but even if we make a film about Sweden, there are people who are interested in Sweden, for example, who may be interested in a film. There is one example from England. They made a film about a very local dance called the Morris dance, a very old folk dance, and nobody wanted to pick it up for distribution, so they basically went to town halls, not even to cinemas, but to town halls, set up their own screenings in the area where people still remember this kind of dance, and it became a viral hit. So I think working with the theme of your film is quite promising, or to be very special and to say, hey, I do very new things, I do transmedia, I do crowdfunding, or I think lots of films, historically, really independent films really work on a way saying that we hate the stuff that Hollywood or television does, we are very different, and really then creating this kind of new wave, like you had like the German new wave, you had like film workshop movements in the UK, but also the Dogma movement, for example, they were different in a way, and they advertised this difference. And so I think one there's the theme, and the other thing is we make films in a much different way. So you got to be special in one way.
Yeah, and you see the internet as an end in itself, kind of a way to create a new market in which you can have kind of a way to to grant some revenue for your own independent film projects, or you think of it as a way to jump the distribution problems and go to the old platforms by granting exposure first on the internet?
Well, I think it's not an either-or world. I think it's you got the choice. I think the internet is an alternative or like an additional offer that you have. Everybody can ask television stations to fund our movie or to show our movie, and if they say no, we go to the internet. But that may help in order to make the television interested in us again. So I think it's an interplay. And even when I started my research project, I thought that the internet itself may be the answer to all our problems. But I do think that it helps, but it's not the answer, and it helps to build an audience. But I think lots of stuff still happens in an offline world. We see that in music, for example, that bands tour much more now. I mean, this goes on for years, and I think film can do something similar. Advertise stuff online where it's for free, where we reach lots of people, and then go to small audiences, 100 people, and show our film for, I don't know, little money, but set this up like every weekend, go to a different town. Those things may be possible, that we advertise it online, maybe also exhibit it online where people pay a bit, but also have like events, really.
And you think you still have a quality issue when we show films online?
Do you mean in terms of SDHD, or do you mean
in terms of the whole image quality, the overall image quality?
I think well, obviously you can get better quality offline, but I don't think that the audience cares too much, because first of all, image quality is quite good. We can get HD, and even though we see the pixels if we watch it full screen, but I think the audience got used to that. So the problem that I see is really the experience, maybe. Who wants to watch a 90-minute film on their computer? I do that sometimes, and I suppose we do that, but it's still not the norm. So that may be a problem. I don't think that the quality is a problem.
And you have an opinion about also using the new mobile devices and the iPads and all that?
That's too technical for me, but I think it's very exciting, those kind of things. I think, well, the internet and sort of like mobile devices is sort of like they help us to do some short form content stuff, and maybe storytelling becomes different. I hear about a lot of filmmakers who call themselves storytellers now, because they don't make 90-minute films anymore. They may blog about something, then they may make 10-minute shorts, which they then add to a 90-minute film that they show offline at events or at film festivals. But they may also make just like 1-minute things every day that they use on mobile phones. So I think there are so many options for this whole transmedia, cross-media kind of storytelling. So I think it's quite exciting.
And what about do you think this also has to do with the way that the overall film tools are changing, everything becoming digital, everything becoming cheaper? So you see this as a whole process that are all coming together onto creating a new environment in terms, not only in terms of production, post-production, distribution, marketing. You think everything is connected, or how do you look at it?
Yeah, I think it's all like digital media in general. Digital cameras are so cheap, like where, I don't know, a RED costs like 20,000 euros or stuff, which is quite expensive, but still for like a film camera, it's not too expensive. But then there are people, professional filmmakers, who make films on iPhones, and in a way that can even be like a marketing stunt or gag, to say, hey, I made my film on iTunes, on iPhones. But yeah, I think you get Final Cut for, especially Final Cut 10 now, which nobody likes anymore, but you still you get it for like 250 euros or so. And other editing software, I think Lightworks is for free. So you get really cameras more or less for free almost. I mean, an 800 euro stills camera, like, I don't know, a Panasonic GH2,
Canons, the new Canons,
or the
D5
Canon,
or D7,
for like 2,000 to 3,000 euros, but they are I like the image quality. I mean, they are very special in a way, and they don't look like cinema. But I like what they do, and I'm a big fan of this kind of stuff. So I think yes, it's very affordable. Everybody can make films in a way. If the films are good, is then the next question. But having access to the equipment is not a problem anymore.
Okay. So probably my last question would be: so I've made a film. It's a very artistic film. Let's say it's a love story, an artistic love story. What should be my strategy to put it online and to have a breakthrough, reaching out to a lot of people?
The worst film you can make. In general, one thing that I don't want, or like I don't think, you know, that, as I said already, the internet is the answer to everything.
Yeah, of course.
Some films just will never be able to attract a huge audience because of because the filmmaker is not very famous, because the people on there are not very famous, because the story has been told a couple of times. I know, but I think ways to do it is get a famous band to do the soundtrack, and they may help. Maybe some band that is also quite artistic in a way. You can almost sell it like a music video, or like start to sell it like a music video. I know that some bands get filmmakers to make the music video, but then they make like 10-minute music videos, so they're almost like they are filmed. It's not really music videos. So this kind of collaboration may be a way. Another way maybe to really say, this is really new. I don't know. It's shot on a very new device, or it's made in a very interesting way. Another way is there is a film called, you may know that, it's quite old, or it's not that old, it's a couple of years old, called Four-Eyed Monsters from New York. They are New York filmmakers. But often those kind of indie films, real love story, it's a love story, it's an online love story, but I think they were from New York, and there's quite a big arts scene already, and I think advertising an arts film to an existing arts scene in like your local scene, that helps a lot. So there are always some small things that you can do. Yeah. But you may not get rich with that one. But maybe, who knows?
Okay. And after you put it online, search for important bloggers, search for important Twitters, Facebook and YouTube and stuff like that. So that should be the way to do it.
I think that's one way. There's also still offline media that is there, and depending on your film, if it's relevant to them, they will talk about it. I know if you're the first Portuguese film that successfully used crowdfunding, for example, this may be a story for offline media and for real mass media, and they may talk about it. Else it's like really interest groups, like I said already, Greenpeace.com or whatever, and they have contact, and maybe for marketing or press related purposes. And if your film fits with them, ask them. It may be much smaller groups, but yes, it is Facebook, it is Twitter, it is your own blog, but it is also other people's blogs, other people, wherever other people come together really to talk about a certain topic, or to get information about a certain topic, is what you aim to get at, to get your film at, or at least information about your film at.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.